What happens when you mix anime and Soulsborne games? You get Code Vein, which is a game that I actually thought I'd never play since I'm not a huge anime fan, and I very rarely come back to anime unless there's a series that someone recommends to me. So I've been hearing a lot of good things about this, and it was actually Kuma that got me into trying this. I may have had a hasty impression of it when I first saw the trailers for it. Kuma.
Well, I mean, what can go wrong when you have, big anime titties with big fucking swords?
You say that, but I've heard you multiple times when we're playing this game that one person in particular in this game is too much.
Well, a sidekick of ours, like you're the main character, you could pick whatever gender you want, but this side chick of yours, that follow us around, her boob is just it's like a missile. It doesn't gravity doesn't affect it. So it's kind of stick out there, kind of like I
It
don't know,
does its own thing.
distracting. Kind of distracting. Like I don't like it. I don't know. It's just not for me. Not my thing. It might, be other people's, kind of thing, but it's not for me. But other than that, like the game itself, I think it looks great, feels great, controls are pretty tight. Um, the,
Okay,
they have
controls are
the
mostly tight, except for the lock on, which has always been an issue in Soulsborne games. I never felt like sometimes, especially if you're fighting bigger monsters and you try to lock onto them, it goes a little wacky. And also,
uh,
the backstabbing in this game is not reliable in the sense that like you can always get an idea of like what exact spot you need to be in when you're trying to do the animation. Something we found out. Like sometimes we have a hard time getting a backstab on a certain enemy, and then sometimes for another one, we have no problems.
maybe there's like a backstab hitbox for each enemy, maybe. Because like you said that like when you try to backstab, it's always like it miss, and when you do miss on purpose, you end up backstabbing it, which is kind of really strange. Um, and I know that so far we haven't really encountered any big gigantic enemies that like move around, except for one, like the wolf enemy,
No, they've
wolf
been
boss.
human size, so that's the best kind. So the camera is manageable.
Mm-mm. I just know that uh, while I was using the PS4 controller, moving between targets was really clunky for me. It never works out, and so it that's kind of like bothers me. It kind of like put me on difficult situations.
But yeah, aside from the controls, I think they did a good job overall in the game because there's a lot of story, there's a lot of characters you meet, and it's a very diverse game because there's a lot of different settings you're gonna go to. So there's might be in like an underground, underwater asteroid city, or going up snowy peaks. There's a lot of variety in this game, and that doesn't just include the settings you're going to or the different biomes. You have a wide variety of weapons you can also use and different skill
Mm-mm-mm.
builds.
Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, talk more about the abilities, which really stick out and differs from the other Soulsborne game.
So this was an interesting system because you're not locked into one class, and depending on how thorough you're going to be in exploring the different worlds, you can unlock, I'd say, anywhere from 10 to 20 different classes that all have different abilities, like active and passive.
Hmm.
And the big thing is if you stick with a class long enough and you get enough experience for it from killing monsters, you'll unlock it, and you can use that because it'll carry over to whatever other class you want to use once you max out the proficiency for it, which is cool because you could start making your own build and just picking like specific active and passive abilities that you want to use that maybe go with a build you're thinking of, and it gives you a lot of experimentation, which I always like in these games because as much as I love Bloodborne, they don't let you respec, which is the
No.
craziest thing because if you go from playing, say, even Dark Souls 3 or Dark Souls 2, you can respec a bunch of times and try different builds. So I always appreciate experimenting with builds because to me that's a lot where the fun is going to be because I want to try all these different weapons or all these different spells.
Mm. So like I noticed that in the beginning you play like it was Dark Souls. You play a tanky build while I just kind of did my own thing, which you refer to as the Kuma
The
build.
Kuma build, it's a
Yeah.
trademark. It's no one else use it. It's a very unique build where you just try everything and you're terrible at everything else.
Hey, but it was viable in this game. We actually were able to like beat some bosses thanks to my Kuma build.
Yeah, we did. And yeah, I was doing a two-handed just tank build where I have fatty rolls and just it reminded
Mhm.
me of Dark Souls 1 when I'm just going to slap some heavy armor, maybe get a Havel set, get high poise, get a big boy sword. That's what I did. And the real best thing was I wasn't really bored of it, but I wanted to try other things. And the game's like, okay, since you got all these things, you could switch over. So then I switched over to this mage build, which was a completely different playstyle. Because now I can't just be in the thick of it because I have low armor and my weapon damage sucks. So I really liked that I could just switch on the fly to whatever I want to be.
Yeah, because definitely like depending on what monster or what bosses you encounter, you may have to change up your strategy to make things easier, which
Right,
we
there's
did a
some
few
builds
times.
that are easier depending on whatever you use. Yeah.
So let's mention something else that this game differs. How about the charge attacks and
Right.
the
Okay.
parries?
So you have an Ichor, which is basically your mana or anything like that. So it allows you to use abilities or buffs or anything like that. And when you charge your one of your attacks and you hit them, you recover some of your mana back, and you also increase the max mana you get. So it's a slightly different system from all these other Souls-like and Soulsborne games, where if you parry or backstab even, then you'll have the same effect where you gain some mana back and also gain some max mana.
But how about those animation? Don't those look pretty cool and stuff?
They're cool. It's nice they vary it up depending on which kind of clothes you wear, which
Mm-hmm.
clothes play a huge role in different ways from what you'd expect. So normally armor would give you defensive bonuses and everything like that, resistances to like status effects, that kind of stuff. But it also ups your stat scaling and increases, say there's two different types of magic. There's light and dark gifts. So depending on which armor you choose, it could increase the damage of your magic spells or the potency of your buffs or debuffs.
Okay. So the only thing that they have for like armor is just the jackets. But let's tell the viewers that the customization could be anything. You could wear any clothes you want. You could look like anything you want, and the accessories. Let's talk about that.
All right, the character customization is really extensive, and it's the most generous I've seen in any of these games or in just in general for gaming, because they have a lot of things you can just make your character your own with. It's like hair color, different accessories like little backpacks or things on your shoulder. You can also have different hats or
Mhm.
sunglasses and change your clothes, and the best part is you can change it whenever you want. You're not locked in. You start
Which is
off with that,
awesome.
and if you don't like it, just go to like the mirror at your home
Yeah,
base
the
and
mirror.
just change it. And it's free.
Yep, free. So far, No DLC, right? No microtransaction that you notice.
It might be pre-order bonuses or deluxe edition, like those kinds of things, but I haven't heard about expansions or anything like that.
But nothing too annoying that pops up that makes you like, oh, you need to buy this to get the best experience. None of that.
No, I
I
felt
didn't feel
that
like.
is completely fair. There's nothing like it's going to let you buy levels or get overpowered weapons or armor, nothing like that.
Okay. So
Everything you do is in game and you get rewarded for, playing the game.
moving on, let's talk about co-op and the NPC that follows you around as a co-op partner.
So a common thing that I saw before I started playing this game, which got me a little worried, was the NPC system. So you can bring one NPC with you, and you can also have another human player with you.
So
And I
total
thought
of
it
three.
was, yeah, I thought it was not an optional thing to do. That you always have to have an NPC because I heard they make the game a lot easier. So I was a little worried about the difficulty because I already knew this game was going to probably be a little easier than things like Bloodborne or Dark Souls, those kinds of games, or even The Surge.
Oh, but we are so wrong, aren't we?
Yeah, we were really wrong. I'm really glad we were because you can actually toggle it off and you can ask the NPCs to just stay in your base. So if you're finding the game too easy, you just go through it all solo. You don't have to use the NPC, but it's a nice addition because you can just bring them in if you're having trouble with an area. Maybe you're not so good at this game or these kinds of games and you need some help. And I like that they give the option. And the game is really just all about it gives you a lot of options. Like you don't have to use the NPCs, but you could use it and it won't punish you for it. You might get some lore for it or anything like that.
hmm And there were several NPCs you could pick. You could pick a waifu, a husbando, like there's many different characters if you want to like play around with a different character with different abilities that will match your play style.
Right. They all have different they all have different play styles, so they'll have different strengths and weaknesses. So you're not obligated to just use one that you really like. You could try out different ones.
hmm I think the final thing will be the chalice-like dungeons, like from Bloodborne.
hmm
Let's talk about that.
So we actually didn't play too much of it yet. We've just been going through the main story, but there's been a lot of exclusive things you can get in those things. They give you maps, and there'll be this map master you find early on in the game, right after the first boss. He starts telling you about it, and you can get a bunch of items and exclusive things that you can only get in those chalice-like things.
So overall, would you recommend this game to the viewers that are watching?
Yes, without
Yeah,
a doubt.
big recommendation for me too, as a big fan of anime and a big fan of Soulsborne's game.
I think just spending my time with it, I was very skeptical, and I know we talked about it. You and I'm not the biggest anime fan. I don't know what the story is about, to be honest, still. But the
Yeah, same.
gameplay is fun enough, and there's enough freedom to choose, builds and everything like that, that I kept going and I wanted to see, I want to see what the end is, even though I'm not going to understand it. I want to at least finish the game because controls wise and everything, this is one of the best Souls like games out there. Like only second to Neo for me. Like Code Vein and Neo are the top tier of Souls like experiences that I never thought I would experience. And I'm glad that other companies and other games are doing different things to expand the genre because I love Souls games and I'm glad that all these different risks and they're doing is paying off and I'm really excited to keep playing these games. Was there anything else that you wanted to talk about with this game?
Let's talk about the cutscenes, because like comparing this to the Soulsborne series, this game actually have a lot of cutscene and a lot of narration, and the action sequence in these cutscenes are pretty top notch.
Yeah, pretty anime. What you'd expect.
Yeah, I was like, oh man, what's gonna happen? Oh my god, this person's so cool. This ability.
Yeah, they're well done, and I have no real complaints about it. I mean, my personal preference about anime is, my opinion.
Mhm,
There's a lot of people that love anime. I'm in the minority.
mm,
But it's a fantastic game that I'm glad I changed my opinion about, and I'm really glad I changed my mind and came around on it because it was an experience that I'm glad I got through. And I hope if they make another one, I just keep hoping they'll improve upon what they made from here
mm.
because I think they
Improve
have
the
something
formula.
special.